All right, so today we're going to dive into tools that you need to really kind of understand how to navigate the waters of cryptocurrency, but more importantly, how to understand what is hot and what is not. And to do that, I'm going to jump into that today with Ian Balina. Of course, my name is Paul Barrow. Welcome back to TechPath. Ian Balina, you probably recognize the name out there if you've been in the crypto space for some time. He's one of the founders over at Token Metrics and one of our partners here. So Ian, great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Excellent. All right, so Ian, let's jump into Token Metrics a little bit. Just for those who maybe do not understand, I mean, we obviously talk about it, use the tool on our show all the time, but from a founder's perspective, what were you trying to do when you guys launched Token Metrics? What was the real score there?
So with Token Metrics, the idea was to build a data analytics and machine learning based platform that can help crypto investors become smart investors. So essentially, imagine having an AI system that can go through, rate crypto assets, and tell you which ones you think will go up the most and which ones to get out of. That essentially, at a high level, is what the goal and vision for Token Metrics is and will always be.
Excellent, very cool. Ian, we use the tool on our show quite a bit. One of the things I'm a big fan of is the TM score. And if you could explain how you guys compile the TM score, because that's something I think a lot of people, they ask me in the comments all the time,
Yeah.
what's consisted in the TM score?
Yeah, so TM score or TM grade is us going through and looking at thousands of data points in crypto space from quantitative metrics such as the price, the ROI, the Sharpe ratio, and all the metrics that typical traders or quants would use. Then we add in on-chain data, sentiment analysis. Basically, we're getting as many data points as possible, putting that into our machine learning system, our AI, and having it go through, back test, and see which metrics actually matter in terms of predicting which coins will go up. Then we take all of that and combine that into a grade that rates crypto assets from 0 to 100%. And then on the ratings page, we basically go through and sort them to give you the coins and tokens we think will do best in the short term and long term, all based on
Yeah,
data. That's back
I
tested.
like it. Yeah, we use it all the time. I'm going to bring it up on screen here because I was looking at it today or this morning. And just a quick, when we go into Token Metrics, we're in more of the advanced plan, but the TM grade is right here. This is typically what we'll do a quick sort on. You can kind of see that. Another thing that we'll do is we'll go over here and do a filter on a less than when we're looking for some of these emerging projects. So maybe say a less than 50 million, apply that. And that gives us, even though we'll also maybe short the, or sort that by trading volume, but it gets really interesting when we start to analyze these projects right here, which usually sets us on our tone for research within the studio here, within our group, and gets us going because we do have kind of our own analytic side of things that we'll measure against Token Metrics. And in many cases, the two seem to have a perfect marriage on that. When you look at kind of just the space of cryptocurrency today, what do you think is going to be the thing that gives mass adoption, that little push that needs to happen before we start to see really big numbers moving into the space?
I think we're seeing it now. So the way I view the market is last year was DeFi summer season. This year was NFT summer season, and
Yeah.
next year I think it will be DAOs. I think DAOs
Okay.
really build upon NFTs and help take crypto mainstream. Because NFTs, recently I was at a NFT NYC conference, and this is one of the first crypto conferences I've been to that was so diverse in the sense that you had people that were not really in crypto, people who had just joined in crypto. Within 1 year, there were artists, there were musicians, there were essentially non-techies joining the space. And I
Yep.
think DAOs will do the same thing because DAOs are tokenizing social groups, tokenizing social life, and humans are social by nature. So I think this can be applied to all humans globally. And imagine being able to take any hobby, any interest, and tokenize that with a group of people and have a shared group with a shared bank account. And that's why I'm very, very bullish on DAOs as the next narrative.
Yeah, I think we've looked at just kind of the evolution of where DAOs are going, because most of decentralized autonomous organizations, when you look at what's out there in the marketplace right now, definitely probably not the scenario we'll see in the coming years as we start to see that kind of organization style not only increase or improve, but also get very diverse, like you just mentioned. So I definitely, I think you're right on where DAOs will be. What about small caps? Because we're seeing a lot of new entries into the, whether you look at Binance Smart Chain, we follow a lot of what's happening on BSC. We also look at a lot of the networks, whether it's Avalanche, Polygon, et cetera.
Mhm.
Are you seeing these small caps start to really gain traction, or do you think we're going to see a massive fall off on these small caps once we see the bull run kind of fade?
I so I think now, yes, small caps will be getting traction, but it will be dependent on the chain it's on. I think right now, in the last quarter or so, we've been going through lots of interest and hype around layer one protocols. People have
Yep.
been trying to find the next Solana, right? And in my opinion, if I had to pick a few layer ones, the ones we like on our team, based on our research, based on fundamental analysis, based on technical code reviews, very, very bullish on Avalanche, bullish on Algorand, Near Protocol. Those I like them because, especially Avalanche, I did actually end up buying that last week. That was my first foray out of Ethereum in a while. I've been called
Yeah.
an ETH maximalist for a while, but seeing the issues Ethereum has with scaling, and then seeing how other blockchains are trying to take Ethereum's thunder, because
Yep.
so many people now are entering the space, and not everybody has the ability to pay high transaction fees that Ethereum has, right? So
Right.
for the smaller investor, those who invest in small caps, other chains have become more attractive, from Binance Smart Chain to Avalanche. But me personally, I don't really like Binance Smart Chain, particularly because it's very centralized. Right?
Yep.
And I feel like there are other EVM compatible chains out there, like Avalanche, that are not as that are just have better fundamentals, more decentralized, right?
Yep.
So especially with better technology and a better crypto ethos, I can definitely see why others would gravitate to those chains to buy low caps. For
Yeah.
example, lots of projects that launched recently, like Olympus DApp, right, which is essentially
Mhm.
DeFi 2.0, where protocols own their own liquidity. Now, those projects are getting forked and put onto other chains and launching as small cap projects, but they're doing very well. So, for example, Wonderland Time, which is a fork of Olympus DApp,
Right.
is now worth over $1 billion market cap on a layer two on a different chain outside of Ethereum. So we're seeing this foray of developers quickly forking projects from Ethereum, putting it onto a different chain that's more faster.
Yeah. Definitely, and we've seen this migration. It seems like that. I'm a little bit concerned. This is something we're planning a video on to talk about ETH, because I'm kind of with you. I've been a little bit of an ETH maximalist during this. In fact, it's my largest holding. But one of the things I am concerned about is that transition to ETH 2.0, what its real effect is going to have on the space, and especially with you, where you kind of mentioned, you see a lot of these layer ones that have really done a good job, not only on just the projects themselves, but the ecosystems they're starting to build. Whether you look at Solana and what they revealed in Lisbon, or you look at Avalanche and the Rush project and all the new grants and programs they're trying to develop on. If you and you mentioned Near Protocol, it's very weird that you mentioned that. We just pulled a data analysis on Near, mainly through looking at token metrics, following our own data sentiment, and then coming up with a very interesting thing. So for our listeners and viewers, we're going to be dropping something very special on some of the altcoins, and Near is one of those to watch, and I'll explain why later. But Ian, let's get into the metaverse. So
Mhm.
obviously, I feel like October 27th was D-Day for Metaverse when Facebook changed their name. We saw massive run-ups in a lot of projects. Many projects now are getting much more extended growth, lots of investment in the space. Where do you think this is going?
I think this is the future. I think initially I was thinking this bull market might last 6 to 12 months more, but
Yep,
now with Metaverse happening and Meta really being the shot heard around the world, I mean, I think this could really last a lot longer because now Facebook,
interesting.
as mentioned, they plan to invest $10 billion into the Metaverse, and
Right.
obviously their competition won't just sit there and do nothing. They'll follow them as well, right? A week later, Microsoft also announced that they have plans to get involved in the Metaverse. So for me, in terms of the space, the two projects we like a lot would be Sandbox and the Centraland. Those are the ones we think they have long-term staying power, right? Because right now, Metaverse is a buzzword. Lots of projects are adding that to their project to essentially just get more attention. But if
Yeah.
we had to look at the space and tokens we would hold long term, those are two projects we like. Now, Tokenmetrics as well as a short-term trade has been very bullish on Illuvium and basically
Yep.
blockchain gaming actually as well. And I think this is the way forward. I think now, in the next 5 to 10 years, if you're a game developer, you will have to have play to earn in your game.
Yep, for
Otherwise,
sure.
people won't come to your game because they can't really migrate the value they build in your game. So I think that's the next evolution of gaming and also metaverse as well.
Yeah, you made a good point there. We've talked to a ton of game CEOs over the past month, and just had Red Fox Labs on. Gala Games was on today with the show. And you're right, they are all really pinning their ears back and focusing in on play to earn. But more importantly, I've been impressed with the way that they're accelerating their growth and how they're doing it, which is, to me, kind of the difference between AAA blockchain development and single A blockchain development, which you see in a lot of times in early startups or in a lot of these projects that come out of Asia and even Eastern Europe. When you look at small caps compared to Metaverse, looking at altcoins, is there a particular category? Do you kind of mix in between or look at an array of within your portfolio, or is there one particular category you think is going to shine here in the next, say, few months to few years?
Yeah. I mean, so the way I view my portfolio is I look for projects with great fundamentals, great technology and code based on our framework, and projects I think will be around after a bear market. Because right
Yep,
now everything's going up, right? But when the
yep,
music stops playing, what can go down 95% and bounce back in the next bull cycle? Because regardless of how good a project is, in every bear market they always crash. Bitcoin crashed 85%, Ethereum crashed over 90%, so that even
yep,
the best projects will crash. So what I look for is what can crash and bounce back and go past this all-time high. Because if you go back to 2018, 2019 in that bear market,
hmm
there were lots of great projects that were in the top 50 market cap or did very, very, very well. But even to this day, in this all-time high season, have not gone anywhere close to the all-time high. For example,
yep,
Icon. Icon was a project I loved.
hmm
Had great returns on it back in 2017, over 100x returns. But in this bull market where everything's going up, it has not hit its all-time high again, right? Because now you have more competition. You have Polkadot, you have Cosmos, you have Avalanche, you have all these projects entering the space. So you have to build for the long term. So for me, I like to have a strong thesis, and I like to go through, audit my portfolio, find crypto assets I think will be around. That's why last week I basically sold 2/3 of my portfolio and had to rebalance into projects I think had long-term staying power. So that would be one, Ethereum. I'm bullish on ETH long term. Two, an Ethereum hedge, right? So for me, that's Avalanche. And then three, a different layer one protocol that has nothing to do with building applications, right? So for me, I'm very bullish on the Helium network. I've been in that since day one.
yep.
So essentially going through and having different categories, different sectors, right? Even gaming, BlockFi gaming, Metaverse, DAOs. So viewing the whole space as what are the next narratives, and with those narratives, which crypto assets will be able to survive any potential crash.
Yeah, I think, well, that's you're right. I think that's where tools like Token Metrics helps us out in identifying some of these quick sliders and where are the icons, no pun on ICX, but where are the icon, projects that you can weather, a bear market, especially if you're trying to adjust it out and you're maybe not in the, maybe you're not a Bitcoin maximalist, maybe you're not all in on ETH, you're trying to diversify your portfolio. Really kind of watching the tools that are being used in the marketplace are very important for sure. Ian, last question to you before we get into, I want to learn about because I know you guys have a Black Friday Black Friday project coming up. Many people talking about this bull run extending. You mentioned it early here in the interview. Do you think we are past the cycle period now with the extension of what we've seen with Bitcoin really kind of hovering around the 60K mark?
No, I mean, so from doing our research and talking to people in the space, we're still bullish on this bull market continuing, right? Because we're now for the first time getting other asset classes in crypto, right?
Mm-hmm.
From NFTs to
Yep.
metaverse to DAOs. And my thesis is this: people who are playing these play to earn games won't really care what the price of Ethereum is, right?
Exactly.
They're making money,
Yep.
right? And same thing with NFTs. So because if we go to equities markets, right, stocks have no correlation with art, and art
Yep.
is viewed as a hedge. So it's very interesting to see how that would play out in the crypto space. Will NFTs be will NFTs have no correlation with crypto assets and be a
Yeah.
good hedge in a portfolio where if crypto assets go down, NFTs go up, and vice versa. And then same thing with Metaverse and DAOs. So now I think in the space, you have to really view yourself as a sector-based investor, where you have to look at what sectors have no correlation with other parts of your portfolio, because then that could be a hedge towards any bear market.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right in the sense that you hit it on the head, and that is there's crypto, really, in general, blockchain has really now all these different asset classes within it, whether you look at NFTs, et cetera, with gaming, et cetera. And you're right, if you look at the different market classes within investments, a lot of people look at stocks and bonds, et cetera. But in crypto, it gets a little bit more granular because you're chasing one particular category after another. And that, I think, is and makes for one a very interesting marketplace. And more importantly, I think it starts to drag in a lot of parties in a very diverse way because you've got gamers coming in, art collectors coming in, obviously investors. Now you've got people who have never been in crypto understanding much more about all of these things. And I think it's really going to create a very interesting different type of cycle in this particular run. So it's going to be interesting to watch for sure. Ian, I know you guys have a big anniversary coming up, 2 years on Token Metrics. What are you doing for Black Friday? What can our viewers get from you today?
Yeah, so to celebrate with our customers, our audience, our community, and our 2-year anniversary birthday, we're giving away 40% discount to anybody who buys the annual plan for Token Metrics. Right, so for
Perfect.
our anniversary, 40% off.
Is it going to be only one day on Black Friday, or are you going to how are you going to do it?
No, so yeah, so from Black Friday, midnight, all the way until Cyber Monday, 11:59 Eastern Time.
Okay, perfect. All right, so all you guys listening in right now, we'll make sure and put the link and the
Yeah,
code below in the description. But just in case you're listening on the podcast, it's Happy B Day 40.
yeah,
That'll get you 40%
yes, yeah.
off of an annual program with Token. Listen, we're a big fan of the product. We continue to use it almost on the show daily. Don't forget, guys, use our code because that helps the affiliates out here on the PBN, and we love that. Ian, we got to get you back on the show to definitely talk strategy for 2022 because we're building out a series coming up in late December. I'll definitely give you a ring.
Yeah, we'd love to. Thank you so
Excellent.
much.
All right, man. Thanks so much for stopping in today. All right, you guys are tuned in over on the
All right.
podcast right now. Make sure and give us a subscribe over there if you found us through Discovery on Spotify or iTunes. But right here on YouTube, the number one thing you can do is subscribe to the show and hit the bell because you're going to get notifications when we drop some of our analysis. And in many cases, when we drop our analysis, we're ahead of the market, which gets you guys into a position where you can go out there and put your own strategies together on your own investment plan. And remember, not investment advice, but hopefully this is an education project that can help you guys move your kind of your whole crypto journey forward, both on an education side as well as understanding the technology that's happening in blockchain. Anyway, you got some ideas for the show, drop them in the comments below, or you can always hit me up on Twitter @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.